Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? To sing for us on Flag Day, the national anthem, please put your hands together for Chris Daly. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? That was Chris Daly of Newtown. Thank you so much, Chris. Yay! Hello and welcome to the rally. You know, a long time ago, once upon a time, somebody thought it would be a great idea to put a huge flagpole right here in the middle of the street. Well, here we are on Flag Day because the flag embodies the promise of liberty. And this is the perfect spot to amplify our message that in America, we have no kings. No crypto-dealing, Qatari jet-wheeling, crime-concealing, gold-plated, overrated would-be kings. What are we here to say? No kings. What are we here to say? No kings. What are we saying? No kings. Say it on the left. No kings. Say it on the right. No kings. Say it on the left. No kings. That's right. Today is also the 250th anniversary of the army we formed to ensure that in America we will have no kings. All right. Now, Donnie T. Rump, who styles himself a king, is spending $45 million of our money on his big bad military parade in D.C. today. But we know the best way to mark this occasion is to exercise the rights and freedoms, which were the impetus for creating the army in the first place. So we assemble with free speech here at the center of our town, because the center must hold, even as it evolves. And there's plenty of room around the flag to find agreement on fundamental points so that the center can hold. From a moral center, we condemn the snatching of good and decent people off the street who have been here for decades. We all agree, deport violent criminals who are non-citizens here illegally, but do not attack the right to due process. Can you hear me out there? I think we lost sound. You got me there, Greg?
You're good.
Okay. Do not snatch children from foster care to deport them. Do not send innocent people like Andre Romero to an El Salvadoran prison. These are crimes against humanity. Such actions are deeply un-American. We will actively and physically oppose them, and those who fail to condemn these crimes are nowhere near the center we hold. From a moral center, we see and condemn the grotesque spectacle of the richest man in the world depriving starving children of food that we taxpayers already bought and paid for. leaving it to rot in warehouses. If this is what you voted for, then shame on you. Musk, Trump, and the pawns who engineered this immoral debacle are far, far from the center and far from our flag.
Here, here.
Here at the center, we agree. We all want efficiency in government, but we condemn the absurdly inefficient and often illegal chainsaw approach of Doge. What a disgrace and what a travesty. As I stated at last week's event with our co-host, Newtown Action Alliance, we all agree that mental health funding helps reduce gun violence, so do not slash $1 billion in funding based on an ignorant view of how schools hire counselors. Centered on the ideals embodied in our flag, we agree. The politicization of troops this week by Donnie T. Rump at Fort Bragg was disgusting. And the pardoning of J6 rioters who brutally assaulted the police was absolutely wrong. If you cannot acknowledge the wrongness of these things, you are far from the center. In America, we will have no kings, and that also means the billionaire class on both sides of the political spectrum cannot be allowed to call the shots. We, the people, will decide, but we must find common ground based on fact and truth. We must be willing to listen to fact-based, good faith arguments that may offer a valid perspective. These conversations, that dialogue can be had. When we created Rock This Democracy, we chose the name to convey the sense of energy and engagement that democracy requires. To rock the house, to rock the party, rock the boat, and the culture itself requires action, commitment, and a sense of direction, because we must move forward. The center itself is not static, but must progress. And we can thank progressive-minded people of all stripes for the 40-hour work week, the right to unionize, Social Security, Medicare, expanded suffrage, a progressive taxation system, and countless other enlightened concepts that have made our society better. These concepts are central to our nation. We own them as Republicans. We own them as Democrats, independents, working families across the board. Yeah! Yeah, here comes the trucker. When genuine progress occurs, we look back, and as Americans, we embrace it from all sides. Notice how, despite T. Rump's threats, no one is getting rid of Obamacare, and despite the shortcomings of the Biden administration, let's face it, no one is getting rid of the massive infrastructure investment that we made possible through his administration. From the center, we show strength when we acknowledge how improvements can be made over past policies. It is reasonable for Americans to expect its government to work towards the best, most humane yet secure immigration system. But we absolutely condemn the needless cruelty, violence, deception, Gestapo tactics, and denial of due process currently happening under ICE. And when a massively corrupt, crypto-dealing, lame duck liar and chief president styles himself a king and runs roughshod over the American values we hold dear, we rise and reject his un-American authoritarian BS. I'd like to introduce someone here because on Flag Day we are reminded of the Pledge of Allegiance our kids recite every day at school. Yes, we know the pledge was a creation of the World War II era, and the phrase "under God" was added in the 50s. And yes, we know America has yet to fulfill all of its promise, but on Flag Day, it's fitting to have one of our friends here lead us in the pledge because the flag embodies the ideals to which we are loyal and which we shall defend. Feel free to say it with us in part or whole, or to simply listen. Please welcome Teresa O'Sullivan.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I don't know about about you, but I haven't said the pledge since my sophomore year of high school. Because the more I learned about the world and the more I learned about this country, the more like a lie it felt to stand up every day and say words that just do not ring true in this country anymore. At first, I had a problem with the under God part when I started to realize that freedom of religion could also mean freedom from religion. Then I had a problem, saying for liberty and justice for all felt like some kind of cruel joke as I turned on my phone every day and watched people beaten, tear-gassed, and arrested by police trying to get justice for victims of police brutality. And then yesterday when I Googled what indivisible meant, I realized that's not very true either. Donald Trump is like an invasive plant. It's like he and his cronies are intruding on this beautiful, biodiverse garden that is America and stealing all of our resources to power up himself, killing off, making it uninhabitable for everyone that doesn't look, act, and speak like him. But if you've dealt with invasive plants, you know that cutting them down just isn't enough. You need to get them at their roots, or they're just going to keep coming back. The change we need doesn't stop with Trump. The change we need may never stop, but I think that change needs to start from within. We can't keep pretending that all of our problems will magically disappear if Trump isn't in charge. Like it'll all be fine if we can just get back to how we were before the 2016 election. Because in truth, this country has never been a country in which the words of the pledge ring true. Not during the genocide of indigenous peoples that almost entirely wiped out tribes like the Yana, the Okaloosa, and the Susquehannock. Not during the kidnapping and enslavement of people from West and Central Africa from 1619 to 1860. Not while women were considered a man's property with no rights and freedoms unless their husband said so. Not while it was standard procedure to beat your son to death for wearing a dress. Not while everything from schools and neighborhoods to coffee pots and water fountains were segregated. Not in 2003, when only at 23 years old, American activist Rachel Corrie was crushed to death, run over by a bulldozer, trying to prevent the Israeli army from destroying Palestinian homes, and Israel faced no consequences. Not in 2009 to 2017, when 3 million of our neighbors, our friends, our family members were deported over just 8 years, marking the deportation under President Obama more than any other president in the history of the United States. And not during the Biden administration, when he supplied Israel with all the weapons they could ever need for their genocide. If we want change, real change, that needs to start right here. We need to stop pretending all of our problems are because of everyone else. We need to start actually listening to young people that we are so desperately trying to get to join us, instead of parading them around at events in front of cameras to make ourselves look better. If we want things to get better, we, Democrats, need to be better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresa. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of our co-founders of Rock This Democracy and the chairman of the Newtown Democratic Town Committee. Let's hear it for Alex Villamil.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Teresa. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming, and happy Flag Day. Actually, let's not forget, Happy Pride Month. Today we honor our flag, what it stands for: liberty, democracy, and justice for all. 250 years ago, our forefathers tore the shackles that bound us to a king. Holy cow. All right, I'm glad Main Street's taking part of this. 250 years ago, our forefathers tore the shackles that bound us to a king and opted to create a system of government by the people that was for the people. No kings needed then, and no kings needed now. There was a time, not too long ago, when if somebody had told us that an American president would be giving himself a Soviet-style military parade, we would have bristled at the thought and said, "You must be joking." Yet here we are, in an upside-down world, with an upside-down government, led by a joker acting like a king and giving himself a tax-paid military parade for his 79th birthday. A parade where tanks will tear the streets of our nation's capital in the same fashion that Doge tore through DEI programs, our Department of Education, our healthcare, and now our personal and private information. For 250 years, we've had a system that has garnered civil and human rights protected under our laws for all people living in this land. Now that system is facing a very real and existential threat from within. As evidenced by the recent events in Los Angeles, this was the first salvo by Donald J. Trump to turn our system of laws into one where the only laws that matter come directly from him. ICE is the dagger that he will use to slowly and methodically dismember our democracy. The pretext? Getting rid of dangerous, quote-unquote, criminals. Anyone can see that what's happening in Los Angeles is a well-thought-out plan used to use undocumented immigrants as scapegoats and normalize the weaponization of our military against American citizens. Under the guise of protecting ICE officials, Trump has escalated the level of occupation from National Guards to U.S. Marines, potentially setting up a dangerous precedent. This is intolerable. Instead of cooling down tensions, this joker is purposely adding fuel to the fire. In LA, ICE actually dispensed with fictitious pretext that they are going after dangerous criminals. They showed their cards by indiscriminately rounding up everybody regardless of criminal record or immigration status. That blatant disregard for due process is worthy of a police state, not a democracy, and this is how it begins. Rather than de-escalating the situation as any American president should, he has been recklessly adding fuel to the fire. If the people of California or any state in the union allow this to happen, if we allow this to happen, then we will be essentially ceding control over our rights as a state. Under the pretext of wanting to keep ICE officers safe, Trump brought in an occupying force to California. As a state that has been categorized as having towns listed as sanctuary zones by the Department of Homeland Security, Connecticut could find itself dealing with an occupying force as well. This cannot stand, and it deserves all the pushback we as Americans can muster. What can we do? First and foremost, do not be intimidated. We fight for the flag that we are honoring today, much like those soldiers that we honor at the monument on top of the hill. We are being called upon to fight the joker, the enemy within. We fight with our laws, our Constitution, our voices, and our votes. We fight what our framers put at the top of the Bill of Rights, our freedom to assemble, to speak our minds, and to protest when those rights are being trampled on. So continue to gather, continue to rally, continue to speak, continue to resist, non-violently but resolutely. Violence benefits the joker who wants to pit us against each other. Cooler heads must prevail. We have history, the law, and 250 years of self-government tradition that will win out against the wannabe king. Keep in mind that we are 4 months away from our local elections. Prepare for those. Enlist people. Remind them that this is no time to sit on the sidelines. We must use our vote. Our vote is our voice. And we're less than 5 months away, 4.5 months from another election, our first election, our local election, which is the most important election because it affects us locally. And we need people that will support our democracy, our laws, and our freedom. Lastly, we can roll back the authoritarian tide, but we need to stay united, fearless and committed to doing everything in our power to make sure that the stars and stripes flying above continue to symbolize free and a free and self-governing nation. Keep doing what you're doing, and thank you for coming. Now it is my distinct pleasure to introduce Lieutenant Dan, a 10-year Navy submarine vet. Come on up, Dan.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for everybody coming today. This is a great crowd. Keep up the noise. Hopefully you won't have to listen to me for too long. So my name's Dan Evans. I'm a 1983 graduate of the Naval Academy. Proudly served our country for 10 years, including 3 years on the USS Gato, a fast attack submarine out of Groton right here in Connecticut. So I've got like 5 minutes. I'm going to see how much grift, waste, and abuse of power I can fit into that tight window. Let's start with an update on the censorship that's currently taking place at the U.S. Naval Academy, my alma mater. Similar things happening at West Point and at the Air Force Academy. I've got a long list of things that are being censored out of the library, book bannings and all that. I'll just mention 3. In October of 2024, the Naval Academy rescinded an invitation to speak for Dr. Ruth Ben-Ghiat, a scholar of authoritarianism and fascist movements, to deliver the annual Bancroft Lecture. Despite the lecture being nonpartisan and historical in nature, it was canceled in response to pressure from congressional representatives on the behest of the Heritage Foundation. The Academy claims the speech has not been canceled but rescheduled, though no date has been announced. Secondly, in March 2025, in anticipation of a visit by Secretary Hegseth, a display featuring the achievements of female Jewish graduates was removed, while displays of male graduates remained unchanged. The display was returned after the departure of the secretary. And famous documentarian Ken Burns and his screening of the documentary of the American Revolution for midshipmen was canceled and then later rescheduled the following year. No date has been announced. The reason was Mr. Burns' public criticism of the president. Absolutely disgusting. And this stuff is happening at West Point and the Air Force Academy as well. The systematic implementation of censorship has led to 2 staff faculty members resigning, 18 more are opting for early retirement, and students are reconsidering transferring to other schools. Leading speakers and thinkers are avoiding the school or are not even being considered. The capacity of the Naval Academy to attract, retain, teach, and lead are already being degraded. I'm alarmed, as I'm sure most of you are, by our felony chief's illegal and unconstitutional use of the Marines and the California National Guard, for that matter, in Los Angeles over the past week. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that he did this for one reason only: obfuscation and deflection. Well, that's 2 reasons, but on June 5th, Elon Musk tweeted, quote, "Trump is in the Epstein files." Less than 36 hours later, Trump calls out the California National Guard without Governor Newsom's approval. Hey, stupid people, look over here, nothing to see over there. All pictures of the felon-in-chief with pedophile Jeffrey Epstein didn't even make it through one news cycle. This is Trump's MO, no surprise at all. By the way, his military order does not limit him to using the military just in LA. If the courts don't stop him this week, the Marines will be coming to a theater near you soon. That's exactly what Cadet Bone Spurs wants. 2 weeks ago, my nephew graduated from West Point with the class of 2025. You'll love this one. So proud of him and his decision to serve. But that meant I had to suffer through an hour and a half of a rambling speech by the felon-in-chief, where he went from talking about trophy wives to talking about how we won't need soldiers anymore because we'll have drones. What a clueless thing to say to an audience of young men and women who just swore an oath to defend the Constitution with their lives if necessary. Not only is this man a narcissist and a charlatan of historic proportion, but he really needs to learn how to read the room. After his speech, the Corps commander, a female cadet, presented the Cheeto-in-Chief with a picture of the class of 2025. Photographer snapped a photo, and then she stood in front of him and saluted, like you would expect, obviously, as a sign of respect for the guy at the absolute top of your chain of command. As she walked away, the Jumbotron at Mikey Stadium clearly showed Trump turn to the audience and mouth these words, "She's hot." I'm not kidding, I saw it with my own eyes. Some people laughed, I did not. My niece graduated from West Point 4 years earlier, and it haunts me that this guy is in her chain of command as well. At the end of his speech, he waddled off stage without handing out any diplomas, not like Joe Biden did when he was there, or Barack Obama when he was there, or when Ronald Reagan when I was a midshipman. Apparently he had a tea time that was more important at Bedminster. And today he's throwing a parade for himself, the kind of parade you would see in Moscow or Tiananmen Square or in North Korea. The pathetic draft dodger with bone spurs wants a military parade to showcase his army. The politicization of our military is dividing the military just as much or even more than what Trump is doing to our country. We'll see these effects in the morale of our troops and the ability to recruit going forward. By the way, that estimate of the parade is up to about $60 million after they fix the roads from all the damage the tanks will do. So I'm a bit of a history buff, and I thought it most appropriate today on a day where we celebrate no kings to quote from George Washington's farewell address. In it, he presciently warns us of the dangers of party politics and to what it might lead. Unfortunately, he was insanely accurate with his predictions. Quote, however combinations or associations of the above description may now and then answer popular ends, they are likely in the course of time and things to become potent engines by which cunning, ambitious, and unprincipled men will be enabled to subvert the power of the people and to usurp for themselves the reins of government, destroying afterward the very engines which have lifted them to unjust dominion. Keep beeping. President Washington knew that power corrupts, and he knew the vulnerabilities of the system he had helped put in place. I encourage you all to go Google Washington's farewell address when you have a moment. Read it in its entirety. It's amazing. In closing, I really think we are already past an inflection point. The country I grew up in, the country I served on my submarine during the Cold War, I fear is gone. I believe the question now is, can we get it back? The damage this megalomaniac has already done, with the help of all his MAGA enablers, has far-reaching geopolitical consequences. Every European country in NATO has increased their defense budget materially as they realize that America can no longer be trusted ally. NATO is not waiting. They are taking the necessary steps now to move forward without the U.S. We, the American people, must take responsibility for what happens next. We not only have to stand against our narcissist in chief, we must stand for leaders who actually will protect and defend the Constitution. We must be willing to do whatever is necessary to win back this country and rebuild the institutions that he's already destroyed and what he will continue to destroy in the coming weeks and months. We can't wait for midterm elections. It'll probably be too late. He's moving quickly to dismantle most of our democratic institutions. Adolf Hitler was named Chancellor of Germany on January 30th, 1933. Within 6 months, he had destroyed all of Germany's democratic institutions. This is not alarmist. What Trump is doing right now has historical precedent. We need to act now. I urge you to get involved, do something. Even get into some good trouble if it becomes necessary. Thank you. No kings.
Thank you, Lieutenant Dan, for that awesome speech coming from a military veteran today on the 250th anniversary of our armed forces. Just a quick shout out along the street. If everyone could just be careful, be sure that you're not past that white line, okay? We want to keep everybody safe. Be very careful, and as you interact with drivers, don't get pulled into an argument, okay? Please stay on the inside of the white line. If you can get further in, that's good, okay? We want to keep people safe. Also, as a courtesy to Trinity Church, we just ask, unless you're grabbing a quick photo, for instance, some of those people are, we ask that you not be on the steps of Trinity Church, please, okay? So keep the steps of the church clear. We're going to have a few more speakers, but I just want to say, if you're enjoying yourself today, and I think we probably have, maybe it's 1,000 people. I think you're right. I think it's over 1,000 people. It's so awesome, and it is Pride Month, and we're so grateful to see all our friends and allies here today. We hope to stage a democracy festival, a celebratory festival of all that's great about freedom, liberty, and democracy this July, possibly July 12th. We hope to announce that soon, and if you go to www.rockthisdemocracy.org, you can learn about that, and if you want to chip in a few pennies towards it, you can. I would love to hear what it sounds like to have 1,000 people say, "Rock this democracy!" Go!
Rock this democracy!
One more!
Rock this democracy!
Hey, again, please welcome our co-founder who will introduce someone. Here again is Alex Villamil.
You know, I make it a habit not to argue with Jim, because I usually lose, but in this case, we don't have 1,000 people. We have about over 2,000 people. So I would like to hear what Rock This Democracy sounds like from 2,000 people. Rock this democracy. Rock this democracy. Rock this democracy.
Rock this democracy!
Thank you. On that note, I would like to introduce our selectman, Michelle Embercoe.
Hey, Newtown! It's good to see everybody here. Welcome back to our friends from Danbury. And I saw our Senator Kushner here from Danbury. Welcome to our friends from Bethel, Brookfield, Southbury, Fairfield, Easton, Monroe. Who have I missed? Reading! Trumbull! Good to see you all here. And a special shout out to my mom who's here today, standing right here. She's seen her fair share of upheaval in her lifetime, from the Great Depression of the 30s to the terrorism of more recent times. But nothing is quite like today. Growing up, I remember coming home from school. Yeah. And watching Watergate on our little black and white television, riveted by a Congress holding power to account. But this is not the same America. Back then, Congress had the courage to say no to a corrupt president. Today, this Republican Party enables him. Shame does not exist for Donald Trump. This is not just a political problem, this is a moral crisis. This is not the America my father swore to defend when he enlisted in the U.S. Army nearly 70 years ago. America had its flaws, but we were moving forward. Civil rights were gaining ground, and integrity in leadership still mattered. This is not even the America of Trump's first term. Back then, his advisors stopped him from holding a military parade. Back then, Secretary of Defense Mark Esper said no when Trump wanted to send active duty troops into our cities. But today, Marines and the National Guard are deployed in Los Angeles, and just yesterday, a civilian was detained by the U.S. Marines. And in an irony, almost too perfect to believe on this 250th anniversary of the birth of an army that was created to resist the rule of a king, the military is marching for a man who wants to become one. Today, on this 250th anniversary of George Washington becoming the first general of the U.S. Army, in the very city named after him, leaders are bending a knee to a man who craves a crown. This is real. This is now, and it is up to us. There is no cavalry coming. No one else will save our democracy, our republic, or our Constitution. When we have a Secretary of Defense who allows the military to be used against its own citizens, we cannot be silent. We must say to Pete Hegseth, no kings, no crown. We will not bow down. When we have a Secretary of Homeland Security who deports citizens and immigrants without due process, we cannot be silent. We must say, no kings, no crown. We will not bow down. And when we have a Secretary of Health and Human Services who dismantles the research and the health institutions that cure and prevent disease, we cannot remain silent. We must say, no kings, no crown. We will not bow down. And when the president threatens to take over Greenland and Panama, fires the independent inspectors general, accepts luxury jets from foreign nations, uses the Department of Justice to go after his political enemies, takes away health care, we cannot be silent. We say to Donald Trump, no kings, no crown. We will not bow down. This is a test of our willingness to give up our humanity, our commitment to the Constitution, and our dedication to the rule of law. Do not fail this test. And now I have the great pleasure of introducing our state treasurer, Eric Russell.
How's everyone doing? This is incredible. Thousands of people out here standing up for what's right. And I'm just honored to be here with you in Newtown with so many friends and family as we push back on this unprecedented attack on our country. Let's be very clear. This country has never been about an individual person. It's about people. It's about us. It is people over people in power, right? And how we do that is make sure that we're making our voice heard. And regardless of what we see right now in a president and wannabe dictator who has the military rolling through the streets as if this were North Korea or China or Russia, we will not lose this fight. And it's going to be because we step up like we are here in Newtown, like the tens of thousands of people are in cities and towns all across the state today. People all over this country fighting for our country, fighting for our democracy that is so much under attack. When you look at what this president has done just in this short period of time, and who has been most subjected to these harms, you think about the most vulnerable in our communities. You think about a budget right now that is attacking Medicaid that so many young people and seniors in our community are relying on. SNAP benefits that help to feed the hungry and the poor. Cuts to special education. The dismantling of our education department as a whole. The complete erosion of all of our institutions and systems with the idea of harnessing power and making sure that Trump and his rich friends amass more and more wealth. And we see that in this budget, right? Tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires, while you gut the social safety net for the most vulnerable. Taking advantage of the financial markets and systems to stop tariffs all before his buddies buy into the market, and it jumps back up so folks make millions and billions of dollars. This is the time that we have to step up and do what's right. And I will say this, we cannot get weary. We cannot be discouraged, and I know that we're not, as you see all of these people out here today. Because that's what he wants. That's what they want. They want us to disengage. They want us to step away. They want us to go back home in fear. Are we going to give up on this fight? No! Are we going to walk away from our commitment to this country? No! Are we going to stand up for the people in this country who need us most right now? Yes! No crowns, no thrones, no kings. Let's go out and do it.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out. My name is David Stowe, and I'm one of the co-founders of Newtown Action Alliance, which is now a national gun violence prevention organization. I had not intended to speak today, but after what happened this morning in Minnesota, I thought it was really important that I did. For those of you that haven't seen, in Brooklyn Park, Minnesota this morning, there was a politically motivated assassination of a state representative as well as her husband in their home by someone who was dressed as a police officer who came to their home. He also shot a state senator and and his wife. They went through emergency surgery and hopefully they will survive. But actions like this are the logical result of what's going on right now in this country. When our government uses violence, it gives tacit approval to use violence for everyone else. When people that are immigrants here are fleeing violence from other countries. And when they are met with violence here, that is outrageous. Also, when the president, Mr. Mango Mussolini, pardons violent insurrectionists who attacked the Capitol and police officers on January 6th, that also gives approval to other people watching to use violence, to think that they will get away with it, that they will be pardoned, and they will be given approval. So, there's far too many guns in this country, and there are far too many people who should not have access to guns who do. And as something else too, when immigration is a huge issue this week and a huge thing that's going on right now. And what a lot of people don't realize is that one of the single biggest root causes of immigration and the flood of immigrants to our southern border is guns. And those guns, over 90% of the guns in Haiti come from the United States. Over 70% of the crime guns in Mexico come from the United States. These guns are illegally trafficked to Central and South America because of our weak gun laws. And then those destabilize the local governments, the local communities there, and these people have no choice but to flee and come here. Do we really think that people walk with their children hundreds and thousands of miles for a slightly better job? No, they have no other choice. And then they come here and they are met with violence by our government. It's an outrage and it has to stop. Now it's my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce our last speaker, my friend, who's Jennifer Hensel. For those of you who do not know who she is, her daughter Avielle was killed at the Sandy Hook school shooting, and then her husband, who was also my friend, Jeremy, lost his life to suicide a few years after that. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to one of the finest humans that I know and a great person, Jennifer Hensel.
All right, you can hear me?
So Dave has been a really good friend of mine, a supporter, and I know so many of you were part of the mass murder that happened in our community, and many of you came out to support us and all of our endeavors. And mine is science, okay? I'm a scientist, I'm a woman, and under this administration, they're not cutting science, they're gutting it. They're ripping out the backbone of the public health, climate research, medical innovations, and basic human knowledge. They're quietly, systemically, with chilling efficiency, gutting medical research, climate research, space research, innovations. It's dying. In 5 months, it's dying. Because when you gut something, there's nowhere else to stand. You gotta start over. This is decades and decades of knowledge being buried. Boo! The United States, and this is no longer the case, was once the global leader in medical research. It happened after World War II. Researchers from around the world were welcomed into the United States, starting all of their foundational knowledge over. The NIH is our crown jewel. 40% of its funding is gone. 20,000 scientists gone. We are bleeding. Our nation is bleeding. The NIH is cut. The CDC diminished. Data buried. Environmental protections erased. And worse, the facts that we know, facts, are being mocked. So if we dare sound that alarm, hold on, I'm going to let them honk all the way through. I personally know scientists who are leaving this country because they're being offered jobs in China, in Japan, in Australia, in Canada. I know clinical trials that have stopped. I know the investigators leading those trials are horrified. In the middle of a trial, patients being completely unsupported. And those of us who dare sound the alarm, what are they calling us? We have a deep agenda. We're the wrong people. We're the conspiracy theorists. That's not true, it's projection. We're being told that science is an elitist endeavor.
Science says what?
That education is dangerous? No way. And that questioning is unpatriotic? No way. But science isn't a luxury like a yacht or 2 rounds of golf on Mar-a-Lago. It's how we survive. Ask the cancer patient if biomedical research is elitist. Ask a family whose home was lost in a wildfire if climate modeling is optional. Ask parents with a child who has autism if they want fewer answers or do they want more. Ask the millions and millions of people living with long COVID if they think public health data should be censored. No! When we defund the sciences, we defund hope. We defund cures. And we defund preparedness. And we put ideology over evidence, superstition over safety. No way. No way. No way. No way. The people are gonna pay in their own blood. Joni Ernst, that Iowa awful human being of a senator. We're all gonna die someday. Not on my watch. I'm not gonna die at 40. I'm not going to let my children die at 30 because they are not vaccinated. I'm not going to let that happen, and neither are you, right? No kings. I will not bow down. Every single one of us. This is our movement. There is no cavalry. Who said that? This is us. We're the cavalry. And charge! I heard a charge! I'm going to talk about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. for a minute. What a piece of work, right? God! This is a man with no medical background, no credentials, and he's leading our Health and Human Services. Instead of stewarding the NIH, he's gutting it. He's starving it. Instead of combating disease, he wages war on vaccines. And instead of defending the truth, he floods the public square with conspiracy and misinformation. He is not a reformer, he is an arsonist. He is burning the sciences to the ground. Not okay. I'm not even going to go into the data of what he's done. You guys all know. But what I want to say is we're standing up today. We're standing up. Stand up. Speak out. Show up. Thank you.
All right, folks, we're not quite done yet. We have one more surprise speaker. My friend, State Senator Julie Kushner.
So I know that you've heard a lot of speakers, but I really want to hear from you because there's one message today that is really important. So when I say, do we want kings, you say, no! When I say, will we bow down, you say, no! When I say, will we back down? No! We cannot back down on a day like today that I woke up to the worst news possible that my counterpart in Minnesota had been killed in her own home with her husband also killed. And a state house member or a speaker had also been shot with his wife. This is not okay. We cannot back down. We cannot stay silent. It's days like today and every day when we have to speak up and we have to protect our democracy. So when I say democracy, make some noise. When I say we'll protect our freedom, make some noise. When I say love is love, make some noise. Democracy, and we show that in our work in Harvard, and we show that in our communities. That's not enough. We have to show the world, we have to show this country that we will not back down. We will not back down. We won't back down. We won't back down. We won't back down. We won't back down. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Kushner. Well, I'm going to bring Jim Allen up. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for being here. Stay engaged. Continue to rally. This is not over. November is our longest shot. It's not that far away, but it's the best shot to vote the people that support us and vote the people that don't out.
And we hope you might help us for the one last chant. We have some people taking a little video. We'd love to have all of you, again, the sound of 1,000 people shouting it out. Rock this democracy! Rock this democracy! Rock this democracy! Louder!
Rock this democracy!
More!
Rock this democracy!
Rock this democracy!
Rock this democracy!
Thank you so much, everyone. Stay safe. And I believe as you're gathering your things and carefully, safely walking, you'll hear our wonderful sound man, who I'd like you to give a hand, doing a song, Greg Goldar, volunteering, and all the volunteers. And we thank Newtown Action Alliance, Reverend Matthew Crebin. We thank our neighbors who have helped us out here with the use of their driveway.